So hey guys, welcome to another live stream, round 4 GPRL, season 5, and you join us in quite the thick of the action. It's been quite late. I've had a few things to sign in and out of from, so you join us right at the end of qualifying. You can see the bottom three, Felix, Jana and Steve, all big hitters, yet to set a lap. But at the top, Moraine is actually leading as he goes through the middle sector, slightly wide there, Karim out of the session. But surprisingly, Amar doing a great job currently up in P2, half second off Moraine. Will he be able to improve on that? Now, as he comes across the line, he does improve by just over half a tenth of a second. So good effort so far from Amar. Another good effort so far from Enrico up in P4. Eliminated down by Yannick, who goes P2. Felix then P3. So Moraine on pole. He does a 14.5. That's the best he can do so far. Amar is just starting his lap, so he's got a lot of time to complete, as does Enrico. Looking further down, who have we got to finish their laps? Now we've got Mike coming through the stadium section. Mike, a reserve, standing in to Ferrari for today. He rounds the final corner, back on the power. What can he do? He's going to cross the line. He goes P10. Not bad effort there from Mike, getting it ahead of the regular Ferrari driver. Karim's a great effort there from himself. Hans, currently 12th, goes up to 10th, eliminates Mike to P12, and Jarno goes P6. It's all quite tight at the top. Enrico can't better his lap time, so he can't improve. Here's Farron coming through the final sector. He's not on a hot lap. So that is your final qualifying order. It's Moraine from Yannick, from Felix, Amar up in P4, a cracking qualifying from him, his best since round 13 China in season 4. Then Steve is P5, just behind him is Jarno in the Mercedes, that qualified again by Yannick. That's Enrico, followed by Farron, Lucas in 9th, Mitch a reserve for Red Bull, Hans, Mike and Karim round off the qualifying order. And sorry, sort of caught myself in the headlights there. It's a little bit late. I've heard from the drivers that it's heavy rain in the race, so that could be very interesting, could really spice up the action. Welcome everyone on the stream. Hope you're having a good day. Hope you continue to have a good day. So that is your qualifying results. Amar, however, with a 5-place grid penalty, and that was due to contacts with Felix. I'll drop him down a couple of places. There's my voice. You have a lisp, brother. I actually don't have a lisp. So that's something. I can say lisp. I don't know how to prove I don't have a lisp, but I don't have a lisp. If I had a lisp, I'd be talking like this. Hello, mature 16-year-old. Hello, Hot Lap Mode, VRL, PS4 Racing League, Bichon Racing League. That's an inside joke. You won't understand. But yeah, welcome everyone on the stream. Wet race is expected. Obviously, we haven't loaded into the session yet. Yeah, there we go. Heavy rain. So the drivers have quite the task at hand to navigate the Mexico City circuit. So we wait for the drivers to load into the session. Tell me how you're doing. As we just wait for the drivers to load in, and then we get going. Obviously the wet could spice things up massively. 14 drivers on the grid, Kevin in the Renault joining slightly late. And off they go for the formation lap. Full wet tyres. I don't have any information currently on whether the rain will die off. From what I hear, it's full rain, start to finish. Apologies for that. Small technical problem, not entirely sure what happened there. Right, cool. I think we're all set to go. We just wait for the drivers to come around on their formation lap. Steve, I'm going to crash 95%. Steve's up in P4, qualified P5, benefited from the grid penalty of Amar. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, the wet conditions. Mexico is also a cracker of a race. It always has been in GPRL history. It'd be interesting to see what they'll serve up this time. Remember back to last season, Felipe won across the line before being given a post-race penalty. And that had a bit of wet involved, however it rained at the end of the race that time. Today, it's raining. Steve is so good he'll win. We'll see. We'll see. Anything can happen in GPRL, as we know. It's been a great season so far. Moraine actually goes round nearly on the formation lap, so warming up his tyres a little bit too much there. And I nearly make contact there, so yeah, it's all getting a bit close. It's raining, man. It is raining. It's raining. As the drivers now form up. I'll say that, Kevin slowly forming up behind Karen. But further forward, Moraine. The most decorated GPRL driver in history, Season 3, Season 4, and looking to make it through on the trot, Season 5 champion. However, as we know, he hasn't won a race yet. He's got it against him in the next 14 rounds of the season. For those that don't know, this is the driver transfer. The driver transfer window opens after this round, so reserves will be trying to prove themselves, as will struggling drivers. So there's a lot on the line in this race today. We'll get the position change. We all know all drivers starting on the wet tyres. Kevin is formed up to the back of the grid. As we wait for the 5 red lights. Here we go. After an age, Yannick has left the session. We'll continue on the lights though. 5 red lights, it's lights out and away we go. Moraine seemingly gets away well. Yannick, I don't know if he's in the session or not. I think he might be. He's challenging Moraine down the inside of turn number 1. There's a Williams off in the background. Yannick back in the session now, so he'll be able to retake control of his car. Here's Felix round the outside in turn number 1. He's undesired straight off the road. Karim didn't get off from the start. He's been disqualified from the session. Moraine re-inherits the race lead. Then it's an Alfa Romeo 1-2 follows Felix. Amar with an incredible start, gaining 6 positions up into P3. Falling down the order is Yannick, who's I think waiting to rejoin. I'm not quite sure because he's back in the session now, but he's struggling and will be out the points if he continues this way. Yano hold position at the moment. It's all a bit crazy at the start of this Mexican Grand Prix. On board with Yana now as things finally start to cool down. There's yellow flag in sector 1. Could that be someone round? Here's Enrico going round the outside of Mitch, forced off the track. He gets back onto the track. There's contact damage for the Toro Rosso. And he's got to be careful he doesn't come back on and collect hands. He doesn't. But that's not how we would have wanted his Mexican Grand Prix to unravel. Yellow flag for that. No safety car will be needed. But it's going to be interesting to see between the Alfa Romeo pair who's dominant really. Amar as well with a cracking start. He qualified in P4. He's currently up in P3. It sounds more impressive when you consider he took a 5-place grid penalty and started 9th. So Amar with an incredible turn of pace at the start of this race. But here comes Felix. He's looking quicker than his teammate. They're going to go wheel to wheel down into turn number 1. Who's got the balls? Who's going to be able to hang it? Can Felix go all the way around the outside? He's going to give it a red hot shot side by side into turn number 2. Moraine has the inside line. Felix with a switchback line back on the power earlier as Steve picks up a 3-second time penalty. However, Felix can't quite get the traction down. Looking behind him now, not quite under threat from Amar. But yeah, Felix looking very, very strong in this opening phase and definitely a threat to Moraine. We have a couple of drivers in the pits. Kevin, Hans and Mike all pitting for new tyres. And all going on to fresh wets. They all possibly had damage as Enrico stays out. Apologies for me getting their names mixed up. There's a lot of moving around. I think Steve has got past Amar. Has Amar gone off the track? Quite possibly. He cut the corner there. I don't think there was any contact between the two drivers, but Amar now coming under contract from Jarno. Jarno is going to send one down the inside of the stadium section. There's contact. They've locked wheels and both drivers go off. Lucas, a massive gainer from that, up into P4. So Amar, I think he's gone down the inside. Yannick is yet again out of the session. Jarno trying to make it work on Amar. He can't make it work. And here comes Ferrin down the inside. It's absolute carnage here in Mexico. As Amar driving the widest McLaren you've ever seen. It's all going to get quite tight though. Yannick sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Everyone really being held up here. Can Jarno have a go on Ferrin? As Ferrin actually ahead of Jarno. Will he be able to have a go on Amar as we come into the first braking zone of the circuit? Currently a McLaren 4-5, so great points on offer so far for the McLaren racing team. Will they be able to keep that up then? Lucas is on for his best finish in GPRL. Here's Mitch battling with Yannick, who's out the session, so not quite sure what's happened there. I know Yannick was struggling with his Wi-Fi prior to the race, so that could offer an explanation on why that's happened. On board with Jarno now, multiple time race winner in GPRL, not able to make an impact yet. He's lost two positions from his starting place, and it looks as if he's struggling today here in Mexico. And it looks like Ferrin actually on the charge, closing up to Amar as they go through this fast stadium section. It also looks like Amar is closing in on Lucas further ahead. Even further forward though, the Alfa Romeos are in a class of their own at the minute, and this gap has sort of stayed around the half a second mark. DRS will not be enabled as long as the conditions stay like this, but will Felix be able to get a run on Moraine and possibly make a move into turn number 1? The slipstream is quite overpowered here in Mexico, with it being high altitude track. I will check the comments in just a moment. Into turn 1, nothing can be done. Hot lap mode, VRL PS4 coming in with Moraine and Felix to crash before turn 1. That's not happened yet. However, they continue battling. It might be scary stuff for the Alfa Romeo team wall. This Amar now, he's sort of dropped Ferrin. Now he's pushing on to his teammate. Mitch deserves a penalty. I'm not entirely sure to why that was. I'm not sure if you called something I didn't. FCB BVB, sorry. Borussia Dortmund. Jarno's still struggling. It's not. I don't think he's able to make a similar impact that the other guys at the top could on these wet tyres. I'm not sure to why that is. Maybe setup, if he went more of a dry setup or more of a wet setup and it hasn't come off. Because obviously remember, with Parc Fermé rules, drivers are not allowed to change many details at all of their setup from qualifying to the race. So it's quite a challenge for the drivers. Here you can see Hans and the other Williams getting quite close to the Renault of Kevin. Here comes Felix through the spray of Moraine. Will he be able to do anything? Yannick now back in the session. A bit of lag, a lot of lag apparently, as there's a yellow flag in sector 3. It's down the inside goes Felix, so wheel to wheel into turn 1. Felix gets ahead of his teammate. Sorry, I was a little bit slow there. Back on the power now. Moraine not able to make a challenge, it looks like, struggling for traction, getting all over the place on the rear end, and there's battling. Ferrin and Jarno going side by side. Jarno temporarily ahead, however Jarno with a tight line into turn number 3. Ferrin back on the power. Will he be able to make a challenge down into turn number 4? He's going to tuck into the slipstream, no DRS, obviously due to the wet conditions. He'll have to go around the outside. That'll be a challenge. He can't quite make it work. Jarno, incredible defending there, and up into P5. But yeah, a change of leadership here at the front. I didn't quite notice it, but is Yannick back in the session? He is back in the session. He's battling with Amar, who's dropped many positions, and there's an absolute There's loads of cars here battling over P8. Looks like Amar's really struggling. I'm not sure. Yes, you can see big damage on the front right element of that front wing. So that's going to be really holding him up. And he's got to be quite careful cutting across Yannick there. Yannick off the track now. Can't imagine he'd be too happy with this. Enrico, they're side by side. Enrico still has damage from his lap 1 incident. Amar off the track. Yannick side by side with Amar. Amar's going to send one down the inside. He's all locked up, and hopefully there's no contact there. There isn't contact, but Yannick has been spun around, and so has Enrico. I'm not sure if there's contact yet there, but drama at the start of the Mexico Grand Prix. And I'm not quite sure what happened there. I'm sure Yannick will have something to say about it after the race. That will be one to be investigated. I was looking at the front now. As Amar has got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. It's going to move Yannick up into P8. But here comes Mitch. Mitch is looking quite strong in that Red Bull. He showed good race pace in Hungary. And so far, he's shown good race pace here in Mexico. Will he be able to make a move down the inside of turn number 4? Not quite. Looking strong though is Mitch, and I'm not actually so sure if I saw a bit of front wing damage. I think, yeah, Mitch has some front wing damage to the front right element of that front wing. He's going to look down the inside. That would have been very aggressive from the Red Bull reserve driver. But yeah, damage to Mitch's front wing. It makes less of an effect in the wet conditions because of you're going slower through the corners anyway. But still, I'm not sure he'll be happy with. I'm not sure how that's come about. We'll have to see after the race. But yeah, you can see clear damage to the front left element. That could be losing him a couple of tenths a lap so far. As he's still behind, he goes really wide. Looks like the drivers are struggling into the stadium sector now because he's lost about a second there. And it's not the first driver we've seen go off. We did see Yannick and Enrico both spin off. Not sure if he was due to contact or not, but Hans now is really close, and these two battling is closing Mike up to them. You can see Hans got a little bit out of shape there, and Mike now might be presented with the opportunity of breezing past both of them on the main straight. Amar, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings as he tries to push on to recover lost time. You can see Hans getting really close to Kevin. Kevin somewhat, you'd say, is holding them up now. And we could have a 3-wide moment into turn number 2. Yeah, Kevin really holding them up. Not sure if he's trying to back up or just really struggling on the tyres as we go through the final corner now. Who's going to be able to take P10? This is the battle for the final points paying position. And it looks like Mike is closer to Hans than Hans is to Kevin. So it looks like Mike might be the one on the offensive. He's tucked into the slipstream. He's got a double slipstream here from both cars. Is he close enough to make a move? He's not, but Hans is going to have a look down the inside. Quite a late close of the door there from Kevin. I don't know if that needs to be looked at, but it looks like Kevin is defending very aggressively. And it's definitely holding these guys up as... that's Hans off into the wall. His front wing's off. He's gone round. And that's him down into last position. His race practically over from that. And yeah, a shame there for Hans. He just lost it on the power. And you know, that really speaks for itself. I'll give you $10 if you say my name. My name. Moraine really doesn't have the pace in the rain. He does look to be struggling at the moment. And yeah, that gap is only increasing. Other than that, this may be one of the only battles on the track other than Mitch, who will go on board with right now. He's still chasing down Ferran. Ferran, who is holding his own excellently in that Williams up in P6. There's yellow flag. That's Amar, who's round. Has he knocked off another bit of his front wing? I think he may have. A race that looked so strong for McLaren, or specifically Amar. Another time penalty for corner cutting. Amar has just taken out Hans. That is not very sportsmanlike conduct from Amar. Not entirely sure what happened there. If Hans dropped it, because it looked like he ghosted It's further up. There is movement about. Here's Lucas making a mistake off the track. Sorry, I was just trying to work out what happened there. Lucas making a mistake going off the track. Not good. Not good indeed. That'll be looked at after the race. But that promotes Yana up into P4. And he can go try chase after Steve, who's in P3. Not able to make an impression on the cars ahead. So that means the closest battle on track following that mistake from Lucas, albeit a mistake, is still a good race so far for him. P5 still on for his best finish in GPRL. Spanish drivers as grumpy as Alonso. No, I disagree. We have some nice Spanish drivers, and Amar has gone out on the hard tyres for whatever reason. I don't know, and I think his position in the league will be put under review for this, as I'm not even going to give him the benefit of even looking at him. Looks like Ferran now opening the gap to Mitch. I'm talking about closing the gap. Lucas is on it with Yana. Lucas really looks as if he has the pace today. Closing up to Yana. Yana does seem to be struggling. There's a yellow flag everywhere on the track. Sector 1, Sector 2 and Sector 3. Dare I say it's Amar? Yeah. There is a surprise. Yano's just behind Steve, and I think Steve may have made a mistake which has dropped him back. Does Steve has this has backed all three of them up? Steve, does he have front wing damage? I don't think he does to that front left end plate. So a crash there from Steve. He's gonna have to box. And what that has done is that's closed Lucas right back up to Yana. So this is now a battle for the final podium position of the race. Can Lucas now in McLaren make a move and score McLaren's first podium since season 3, I believe? Or I think Karim obviously picked a few up. So yeah, first since season 4 last season. What can Lucas do getting all crossed over there under the braking zone? But yeah, great race so far from Lucas. He really looks as if he has the pace, although he was closed up due to the crash from Steve, which we'll have to look at after the race. Yeah, it could be quite interesting. Is there quite deep there goes Lucas, just exploring the limits of the track. Amar is a fidget spinner. Amar, there's a lot of words I could describe Amar as at the moment. But we'll leave that one right there. Mitch still chasing after Ferran. Mitch is one of the couple of drivers in line for a seat as a full-time race driver. Mitch has shown some really good performances so far. Shown some good pace throughout GPRL Season 5. There goes Amar. Jesus. Yeah, Mitch is one of the drivers who's shown some really good performances. Another one, Rico. He's not a mature 16. Gucci is not a mature 16-year-old, unlike some of us. Exactly. For those that don't understand, after this race, you've got to go to Felix's Instagram. I believe it's FlixVO3, I think maybe. If not, it's on the GPRL Instagram page. We reposted it. He made an incredible video where me joking that I'm a mature 16-year-old. So make of that what you will. But back to the race now. Yeah, Mitch struggling to... He's solidly within a second, but he's just not able to make a move. He's not able to get close enough to make a move on the Williams. I'm sure if he keeps pushing away at it as a 3-second time penalty. Easy to pick up around Mexico, so I don't think that's going to ruin him. Also, I've just noticed Mitch running a very nice Ayrton Senna tribute helmet. And Enrico, looking a bit further down, is close to Steve. So I'm not sure if that's Steve just getting past him, because Enrico does have damage. Steve's gone deep, and they're going to be side by side now. And Enrico has made the move, a good move there from the Toro. So Steve gets all over the place on the throttle. There's a little engine glitch going on at the moment. Me, we can't ride on board because they're revving out. But looks like Mitch is closer than he has been before through this part of the track. Maybe Farron's starting to struggle on the tyres. I'd suspect it would be a two-stop today. A one-stop, sorry, for the drivers. As here comes Mitch on the power. Flat out down the main straight of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez. As Steve has got past Enrico again. Enrico's got past Steve. As Steve's off the track, taking inspiration from Lewis Hamilton when he celebrates his world title. Unfortunately, Steve not celebrating the world title. Yeah, well, rather crying about a mistake. Enrico now pits, and Mitch still can't make a move. Tokyo drift. Indeed, it's like the slippy boy. Here comes Mitch though. Switch back line, back on the power, nice and early. Down the inside of the double right-hander. There's a bit of contact between the two drivers. Wow, I think that was borderline. We might have to look at that at the end of the race. Racing isn't, I'd say, at the moment, but I would like to have a little look at that at the end of the race. Meanwhile, it's worth noting, gap at the top now just over a second. So Moraine starting to rein in that gap. FCB BVB says, if I had a penny for every second penalty that Amar got, I'd be sleeping with us at the moment. Very funny. You would be sleeping with many girls, many. And I wonder what he's doing now. Oh, he's put on the medium tire, the soft tire. No, the medium tires, correct. Go on, Amar. Go for fastest lap, mate. Turn the engine up. Ah. Anyway, Steve's off again. Tokyo Drift is Hot Lap Mode VRL PS4. Bichon Racing League said, there's some drifting for you. He's in the wall. I think Steve really struggling now, and I don't think we'll see him finish this race. Mitch now has dropped a little bit back after that contact, but on the opposite of dropping back, Moraine is looking strong. He's come on really strong in this race, Moraine. He's now starting to close the gap to his teammates. Steve is just doing it for the fans, the best fans, hashtag blessed. But here comes Moraine, as Hot Lap Mode VRL PS4 League have pointed out to me multiple times. He is indeed the most decorated driver in GPRL history, the first double world champion, the first back-to-back world champion. Yeah, Moraine looking to make it 3 on the trot. Amar's trying out tyres like my girl trying out clothes in front of the mirror. I like your contribution, I really do. He's back in the pits again now, so maybe he's pitted for some suits, for some softs. Moraine now, pushing on. He's certainly looking strong. Is Moraine? Here comes Amar onto a fresh set of mediums. Pushing for the fastest lap. Alright, nailing that apex. Look at that, nailing that apex as well. Look, I think this is the fastest lap run. He looks as if he's got too much grip with the medium tyres. Is he actually on the mediums or? No, he's on the intermediate, so yeah, that makes sense. I was going to say, he's got a bit too much grip. Anyway, back to the actual race. Here comes Steve in the pits again. 5-second penalty to be served. On goes the new tyres. And eventually Steve, holding the clutch, press down the throttle, release the clutch. Off you go. There we go. And as all this has been going on, Moraine is side by side, wheel to wheel with Felix, and dare I say that was an engineered swap, because he was within half a second, he was within 3/10, and then he was passed by the time I switched. So I don't think Felix put up much of a fight to that at all. Team spirit at Alfa Romeo. We know these two get on very well. Sorry for just about missing that. But Moraine into the lead of the race as we are nearing the halfway point. I would imagine drivers have to pit again. Very sideways there from Moraine, but Felix has dropped back a lot. Second it was at the last timing, on the verge of about 7 tenths. Alfa Romeo are so boring. Well, you know, it's winning them championships. Well, I say that. Alfa Romeo, all previously known as Sauber, looking to win their first title in GPRL since season 2, in which that was a joint win. So, you know, do we really count that? Do we count that? And we can hum and ah about it. Here comes Mitch though. These three closing up to Lucas, so tyre wear could be quite a deciding factor. Team orders equals gay. Hot Lap Mode VRL PS4, you can be our Ted Kravitz. Going down to Hot Lap Mode VRL PS4 Bichon Racing League. What do you guys think the strategy will be for today? One stop, I'd imagine? Question mark. As we wait for them to get back on, we race on. Here's Yannick. I think Yannick might have finally sorted his internet connection issues out. He's travelling on, and he might be able to rescue P4 from this race, which would be a bit of a miracle if I'm honest. So fair play to him. Mitch now, past Lucas, who is in the pits, so maybe pit stop, I'm not entirely sure. But that's going to release Ferran into P4. I would imagine that these drivers all stop again, because in terms of lap times it does look as if they are fading. I don't think the rain is fading though. Alright, Justin from VRL PS4 Racing League. 6 stop, it's got to be softs to hards to wets to inters to softs back to wets at the end for a quick burst of pace. That's what Pirelli is saying anyway. Thank you to Hot Lap Mode VRL PS4 Bichon Racing League. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Races on at 2:30 PM every Sunday. Love the bit of advertisement in there, Phil. That'll be £12.50 for this week's instalment. As Mitch chasing after Ferran continues. I'd imagine the drivers would stop. It's most likely. Alex, you are God. I actually am God. I'm actually part of the Holy Trinity. I am the Father. Yannick is the Son, and Sam is the Holy Spirit. That's my GCSE studies coming in clutch. Talking about Yannick, he is closing up. Yellow flag, and Amar finally has been removed from the session. Has he made contact with? I really hope he hasn't. I'm not sure what's going on there. I'm very confused. Here goes Mitch, and he's struggling. Oh no, that's a Williams off. Is that Hans? Yes, it was Hans. I think he recovered it quite well though. And yeah, he's already been off in that area one more time. The Holy Trinity, amen. Indeed. Jesus Christ, our Lord. I'm not taking the mick out of Christianity. I respect every Christian. That could really be taken the wrong way. Don't hate me. I'm really sorry if that's taken the wrong way. You missed a pass for the lead, by the way. Oh! How have I missed that? Felix is ahead of Moraine. I'm not entirely sure when that's happened. There must have been some battling in the midfield going on. Kevin and Amar pit for Inters. In comes Moraine. Right, so, sorry. Here comes Moraine into the pits. What tyres is he going to put on? A couple of drivers stopping for the intermediates. Moraine, new wet tyres. You're welcome. You used the wrong yaw while you push for RE, mate. Right, new wets for Moraine. He's now got to put in a banger of an outlap, and it's in comes Jana. So it does look to be quite a popular pit lap. Ferran carries on. Mitch boxes. So he's going to try pull an undercut. Yannick continues. Be interested to see where Lucas won't continue. Well, Lucas will continue, sorry, because he's already stopped. Be interested to see if he can jump anyone. How good has his outlap been? Jarno onto intermediate tyres. It does look as if it's raining less than before, so that could be an incredible strategy choice from the Mercedes driver. At the end of the day, you may as well go for it. So Lucas back up into P4, which will be P3 by the time everyone stops. So great strategy so far from Lucas. Felix and Moraine are switching sexual partners, are they? Steve out of the session. By the way, as Felix comes through the stadium section, has his final lap been good enough? There's currently about a 20-second gap between the two drivers. By the time Felix pits, it'll be around that. Moraine's putting a very good outlap so far. I can imagine he's got the ERS turned up when he needs to. However, he can't take too much out of the tyres in this early stage, because they've obviously got to last the rest of the race should the conditions stay the same. Should intermediate tyres not be necessary. It's still raining, but it's definitely raining less. So, where will these two come out? Will they come out anywhere near close to each other? Felix just entering the pit exit. Now, here goes Moraine. Moraine is ahead of Felix. Moraine has jumped Felix with the overcut. And we go back to what we were just before. So, a great strategy battle unfolding at the moment. Enrico is off the track for a second time today. He's been holding it out for a while with that broken front wing. And 10th, currently still scoring a point there for his Toro Rosso team. That will come in handy. But Mike, Kevin, Yannick, Mitch. Yannick is in the pits, so is Farron. Where will Mitch come out? These two have been battling all race. I don't think he put in good enough an outlap to jump Farron. No, he hasn't. So shame there. But here comes Jarno on the intermediate tyres. I will be ready for a switch of the lead if it comes around, don't you worry. But the intermediate tyres, just watching that gap to Lucas, is he able to close it down? Because if he will, he could have this race in the bag. Saying that, there's a 30-second gap to the cars ahead of Lucas, so maybe not. But we'll see how things transpire. This stint might come to Jarno if the rain stays at this level and the drivers keep clearing water off the line. Why is there only one commentator? So usually we're there, or for the last 2 seasons we've ran Ryan working alongside me with GPRL, but Ryan is unfortunately, I think we reposted it on our story, and Ryan unfortunately hanging up the boots in the commentator's box. He's got college to focus on, and fair enough to him. He's always welcome back if he's available. But yeah, that's why there's only me. Am I boring? Probably. But Yannick was close to Farron, or was it Mitch? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, they're making me work for it, aren't they? Lucas now comes into the pits, possibly for intermediate tyres. That's the only reason I'd see him pitting. Yes, intermediate tyres for Lucas. A lot of the drivers now opting for the inter tyre. Reminder to people that might be new to the esports scene. Oh, are you looking for a replacement? At the minute we're fine, but we may in the future, so stay tuned for that one. Right, in terms of compounds, at every track there's 5 compounds run. The soft, the medium, the hard. In terms of dry compounds, then there's 2 wet compounds of the intermediate and the full wet. Intermediate is when there's little water, well, but still some water on the line. Kevin's gone on to the soft. Now that is an inspired strategy call and a half. Is that a glitch on our side, or has he made a mistake in selecting tyres? Esports, esports indeed. It'd be interesting to hear from this from Kevin, because he was fighting for points, and you get the idea that after this he rather wouldn't be, unless they're seeing a completely different track to us. Anyway, battle at the top. Felix, again, looking strong. These two drivers have been in a class of their own today. Phil, my G, welcome to the podcast. The podcast? The stream, Sam. It's been a very interesting Mexico G-Prix so far. G-Prix, can I not just say Grand Prix? It's been a long wait, ladies and gentlemen. But the Alfa Romeo boys looking absolutely dominant and they show absolutely no sign. Can I apply for a commentating position? Send us a message on our Instagram. We'll see what we can do. But I'm not going to be talking about commentating roles right now. Is Kevin being passed, as you'd imagine, by Enrico? Interesting strategy decision from him. Yeah, if you just message the GPRL Instagram account at GPRL_official. If you show us some previous work that you've done, maybe we can look into it. But at the moment, I'm quite happy on my own, actually. That's not saying I won't get someone in, but I was actually asked about this today, and I'm more than happy to continue doing it myself. However, if there's someone who fits the standard and the criteria, then sure, we'll have you on, and you're willing to work for the league. Here we go. Anyway, less about business, more about the race. Kevin, I imagine he's going to pit in again. Yeah, no. Okay, so he must be seeing a completely different track to us, because it's still borderline wet tyre conditions. However, I say that, the gap between Jarno and Felix has started to decrease. Slowly, not drastically, but it was about 34 seconds, now 32. I could help you. Let's not talk about that right now, whoever you are, FCBBB. We'll talk about that another time, but I'll listen to you. But we have a race to focus on at the moment. Yannick, who was disconnected at the start, who was then disconnected again, is now caught up and fighting for P4. And I said if he gets P4, be quite a recovery drive from Yannick. And yeah, more good points in the driver standings. He's currently looking at the championship from what they are right now, which I'll just get up right now. Remember, guys, you can see everything about GPRL. Kevin round again, there's not a surprise. You can see everything about GPRL in terms of standings, penalties, driver lists, team lists, everything on the f1life.com. They're an incredible site, and recently partnered with us at GPRL for Season 5. Proudly sponsored by the F1 Life, who are the home of F1 on Instagram and the internet. Make sure to check out the website to see all the latest GPRL Season 5 updates, including driver lists, driver and constructor standings, and much more. There's also much more than that on the f1life.com. You can also find a vast range of articles to do with motorsports in real life, and keep up to date with all the latest stories in the world of Formula 1, and much more. So, yeah, massive thank you to the F1 Life. You can go on their GPRL page. You can see my statement about the season, and talking about the standings. That's where we were. Marcos does currently lead the driver standings by 3 points over Yannick in the Mercedes. However, Marcos not racing today, so at the moment Yannick is set to score, I believe it's 6 points over Marcos with the GPRL points system, which you can also find on the website, and it's 15 for the win. And going down to 10th, as Farron gets a little bit out of shape. 12, 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You get an extra point for pole position and an extra point for the fastest lap. So an extra point will be going Morain's way so far. And in terms of the fastest lap, dare I say we might see one coming from Jarno soon, because he's showing a good turn of pace on those intermediates. I believe he will only get stronger as the track dries out. As here comes Yannick, his teammate, actually looking strong, slightly off track there. You're allowed to, I think you'd be a bit naughty on the track limits there on the exit. Let's have a look at our fastest lap count. Currently Yannick holds it a 1:19.4. That's an incredible lap time, considering everyone's in the 1:30s. Yellow flag in sector 2. A Kevin round. I don't know how Yannick's got that, but that is quite incredible. Wow. Yannick on the power in the slipstream. I'm going to catch this one. He's going to have to go round the outside into turn number 1. He looked like he had a good run into turn number 1, though. Wheel to wheel into turn number 1. Who's going to come out on top? Yannick round the outside. Great move there from the German in the Mercedes. He's moved up into P4, and I'm sure he'll be very happy with that so far. And even more points for Mercedes, and I think that will move him into the lead, provisionally, of the driver's standings. So, great job so far from himself. Now we cut back to Jarno. Jarno is really the person I've had my eyes on, especially the gap from him to guys ahead. Yeah, decreased again. So, it could be interesting. Fast lap. Yannick Ijun Dota cheats. How the hell did he get this lap? I have no idea. That will have to be reviewed after the race. Yeah, Yana looking strong, closing the gap now, 28 seconds. Will Felix and Moraine have to start thinking about a pit stop? It could all come good at the end for Yana. Saying that, depends, because if you're in the situation that Felix and Moraine are in, you've got a 27-second lead. If you stop again, let's say by the time they do stop, it's a 25-second gap. Or for argument's sake, let's say it's a 20-second gap, they come up behind, they will have fresher tyres to be able to make that move. Talking about making moves, here's Lucas, side by side with the Red Bull of Mitch. Mitch looking for a promotion after this race. He's looking good for it so far, and he's been overtaken by Lucas on the intermediate tyres. And to me, that is the pointer to say, yes, it's intermediate time, box, box, box. If I was the team manager, let's get into the pits, because the intermediate tyres, looking at the gaps right now, definitely the strongest tyre. I don't think there's much in it, but there's definitely something in it. So if you're in a position like, say, Hans or even Mitch, he's got a comfortable gap behind him, and I think Mitch should throw it into the pits at the end of this lap and just see what can come of it. Meanwhile, Felix still within a second. Alfa Romeo has been so tightly matched today. It's incredible. They haven't given us incredible wheel to wheel action every corner. But in terms of, I don't think they haven't put a foot wrong really. I think they've had 3 changes of lead now. One before the pit stop. One before the pit stop, one in the pit stop, and then one after the pit stop. Maybe, I'm not entirely sure. You have to correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But Kevin off. Kevin has really struggled today, and might be seeing the 4th retiree of the race. Here comes Mitch into the pits, and Moraine is off the track. That's going to hand the lead to Felix, and Felix goes around the outside. Just as I was talking about changes of lead, commentators curse all you want. Felix up into the lead of the Mexican Grand Prix with 10 laps to go. Moraine just making a mistake through the middle sector, putting him off, and he'll kick himself if that's how the order stays. He really will. And Moraine, you have to feel for him. Not entirely sure how that mistake was made or what caused it, but nevertheless it was a mistake. And now Jarno within 24 seconds. So Jarno is really turning up the heat here in this Mexican Grand Prix with 9 laps to go. Is there enough time left? He's got to close about 2.5 seconds a lap. If it continues to dry out though, it's entirely possible. It'd just be so interesting to see what he's actually able to do. Lucas in P6 on intermediate tyres. Theron and Yannick ahead of him. About 5 seconds. He can get 4th. If he shows good pace, he's closing on the guys ahead. So, Lucas in contention for a really good finish. Mike in P7 doing a great job so far as a reserve in the Ferrari. And Mitch, who's just come out on the intermediate tyres, has got to close about 9 seconds on 9 lap fresher tyres. He won't get DRS, my apologies. But I think at this point it's probably a little bit too late for the Alphas to pit, as Felix inherits the race lead. Yellow flag. Kevin's gone straight on at turn number 4, and that's damage to his front wing. A shame for the Rhino driver, but it's been like that. Felix into the pits. Okay. Felix calls it quits with the wet tyres. Where will this place Yana though? Will Yana be able to get out ahead of Felix? It's a good stop from the Alfa Romeo crew. The gap was about 23 seconds when Felix came into the pits. It's not the longest pit lane here in Mexico. But there goes Felix on the pit exit. Yana can see him. He's getting up to speed now. I don't think it's going to be enough for Yana, however he will be quite close into the braking zone, and with warmer tyres I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference with these wet conditions. But Felix just covering Yana there, because he knew he had just about a pit stop. But now Moraine could be in trouble, because if Felix is effectively dragging Yana along in his slipstream and closing on him due to being on the better tyre, Moraine could be down in P3 after the pit stops roll out, considering Yana's older tyres. So it's all to play for. Felix lost about 21 seconds in the pits, and gap to the leader Yana 20 seconds. So I think at the moment Moraine will be coming out in P3, so he's got Yana to overtake. So what was looking like a comfortable win for Moraine, he's got it against him now in the final 8 laps to do so. Hans in the pits, as I'd personally advise all drivers to come into the pits, as Lucas has closed up to Theron and Yannick, my apologies. And yeah, Lucas has drove a great race so far today, and I think he'll be very proud of it. You can see Theron struggling on those wet tyres through the middle sector. Lucas hints to the inside. He was temporarily closed off there. He's going to cut the corner. That's a 3-second time penalty. He'll have to give that position back. I'm not sure if he's trying to into the hairpin, because he took that maneuver. He took that position off the track. So Theron rams him up the backside there. There's Yannick slowing down to go into the pits. Nearly caused a crash there. I'm not sure if he was held up by Kevin. Theron also into the pits. So Lucas up into P4, but he may be handed some form of reprimand for that incident. However, Moraine has stayed out this lap, so Moraine trying to make it work, staying on the wets. An inspired strategy. The 7 laps and 15 seconds to close. So Felix got close 2 seconds a lap. Could this be the silver bullet for Moraine, staying out on what should be intermediate conditions, what the rest of the field are on wet tyres? It's all changed around completely. Hot lap mode VRL PS4 say Felix has thrown away the win. He won't be able to close 20 seconds in 9 laps. He's doing so far. He's doing a decent job with 6 laps to go. FCB BVB said again, Felix is not really the wingman who's going to hold your penis helping you. Every man for himself. Love that analogy. Might start using it myself. Mitch, who pitted earlier for intermediate tyres, has got himself up into P5, sorry. Lucas in P4, he's in a pretty comfortable position as of right now. But Yannick, we know Yannick's fast. I don't think P4's on the cards, but I think P5 definitely is. Will he be sending one down the inside? He made contact here with Enrico and Amar earlier on in the race. Not today. As now we carry into the stadium section, packed out here with umbrellas, as you can see. And you'd think with about 4 lap fresher tyres now, I'd imagine Yannick will be making the move. He's tucked into the slipstream. Bit of liking as Yannick's getting. He's struggled with that all day. Yana with a 3-second time penalty. There goes Yannick to the inside of Mitch, and unsurprisingly he makes that move into the braking zone. Nice and comfortable. Good job from Yannick up into P5. A great recovery drive as of now, and he's just got to bring it home. There's 20 seconds to the cars ahead. So if he can just keep Mitch behind, I think he'll be quite satisfied with today, considering how it played out. But here's what we're all focused on. 11.5 seconds now, with 5 laps to go. About what 2.1 seconds, 2.2 seconds a lap. Felix is on a charge. He's closed 10 seconds already in about 5 laps. He's got another 5 laps to close another 10 seconds. The number 2 car, certainly not the number 2 driver. I think these two certainly have a very equal status. They got on well, I'm sure they're in a party at the moment talking. What must be going through the drivers' minds? Flix has just made this race interesting, as if it wasn't interesting before. Yeah, very interesting strategy, inspired by Lewis Hamilton at the Hungarian Grand Prix in 2019. Lewis, in real life, made that work on Max. He could have easily just stayed in P1 on wets, he could have. But I think Felix would have been worried about Moraine making a similar call, because through the middle sector, you can see Felix is just, his car's so stable, he's gained about a second and a half through that middle sector, and if he continues like that, he'll be with Moraine so soon. Looking on Moraine, let's follow him on board for the next lap. I'll take you through a lap of a very, very wet Mexico City circuit. On the power now, down the main straight of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico, very high altitude. If it was enabled, DRS is at its most effective point of the season. Slipstream also very effective here. On the brakes around the 100-meter board, shifting down to gear 3, turning into turn 1, hitting the apex. You can run over the apexes through turn 2 and turn 3 before getting back on the power. Nice and early, short shifting to 4, 5, 6, and usually to have DRS in, not in the wet conditions. Into turn number 4 now, braking just before the 100-meter board. Moraine quite conservative, hitting the curb, getting the car straightened up for turn number 5. You can use a lot of outside curb here as we go back on the power before the double apex right-hander. There's a short squirt of the throttle, which feels longer in the dry before you're braking down a gear. Flicking it left to what is a very fast section in the dry, again in the wet, especially on old full wet tyres. You can see Moraine's rear end all over the place. But back on the power now into what is the back straight. As Moraine's navigated this lap quite nicely as we enter the stadium section, the right-hander. Very easy to pick up a track limits warning there. Into the hairpin, getting it stopped. Gear 2. Flick right into the final corner. Down a gear. Or not if you're trying to conserve the rears like Moraine is. And back on the power through Nigel Mansell, which is the corner. That's the lap of the Mexico City circuit. And that lap, Felix closed about 2.5 seconds. So I think Felix will be within striking distance in the next lap. And Moraine might be vulnerable to losing a place to Jana. It's all about, can Felix keep his tyres in good nick? You can see Moraine now behind Enrico. Enrico got a blue flag. Should be getting out the way soon. As Kevin off, rear-ending the barrier. But Enrico not jumping out the way. This could be a penalty coming Enrico's way. Number 5 blue flags are allowed to pass. I think he's actually out of the blue flag range, so yeah, I think that really does show. Yeah, Felix now within a second of his teammate. Felix should get past Moraine this lap, and an incredible strategy from Felix. As we go through the middle sector, you can just see Felix has so much more grip. He's given his teammate all the space in the world. Moraine pulls off the racing line. Through goes Felix. He's made it work as Felix. A great job from himself. He now just has to coast to home for the final 3 laps. And Moraine's got to be careful from Jana behind, who could pick up P3. P2, sorry. Moraine will be dropping to P3 if that does happen. Jana, who qualified P6, I think he'll be happy with P3. I think he'll be even happier with P2. The strategy to pit onto the inters early. It will look like a bit of a bonkers one. He was the first one into the intermediate tyres. But he's just closed in about a second in that final sector to Moraine. These tyres aren't equal, so these two stopped on the same lap, but for different compound of tyres. Just put that into perspective. But Jano is looking strong, saying that. He made a mistake through turn 1, lost a bit of time. Are there any other battles in the field? It doesn't look like at the moment, but we will have our eyes on this gap. Drivers, people, let's call Felix Bottas from now on. Bottas, well, you know, I think Bottas 2.0, I think we should be calling him, because incredible drive from Felix so far. Jarno now closing up within 3 seconds. I think Moraine might drop yet another position. Is it worth him going, you know? I think he's going to drop the position anyway, so maybe it's worth Moraine just stopping, putting on the inters and going for fastest lap at the end. Because Yannick, who does have a glitch time, that lap doesn't count. So in terms of fast lap, the next fastest lap, 18.7 from Mike, it looks like. 17.7 from Felix is the time to beat. But here comes Jarno across the start-finish line. The intermediate tyres, I think Moraine's going to drop yet another position. He can defend the inside, but there's not much Moraine can really do as he's breezed past by Jarno into the brake zone. Jarno makes it up into P2, a good drive from himself. Obviously he hasn't finished yet, but I'd be very surprised if Moraine is able to come back and make a challenge. He's just got to keep it on the black stuff now and continue. But yeah, currently taking home the point for the fastest lap will be Felix, as he has done a 27.7. A very strong lap from himself. Yannick, indeed, bearded Bottas. As we are on the penultimate lap, go back to the gaps between the drivers. I think all the battles have started to iron out, but what a strategy from Felix, and equally Jarno, to pull himself out of no man's land. And you know, what looks like at the moment get the win. However, we learnt last year in Mexico, it's not over till it's over. And Felix looks so strong, and he took the lead at the start after what was a great start. There's a temporary yellow flag in sector 1. Don't think that's anyone to note, as Felix starts his final lap of the Mexico Grand Prix. It's been a great drive from Felix. You can't fault the man one bit. And he's pushing on, he's doing a great job. As I've previously mentioned, Felix set to pick up what I believe will be his second win of the season. I will check that. Is it his second win? It could be. Yeah. Felix's first win of the season this will be. Alfa Romeo's also first win of the season. Really, you know, almost kick-starting his season. Any penalties for Jarno? I'm not sure about that. The hot lap mode guys, somewhat against Jarno, but it's all fun and games. It's all Xavi's fault. But focusing on this race, Felix, yeah, he's done an incredible job. He's taken the lead about 3 times. An inspired strategy call put him on the fresh intermediate tyres. He made it work. He closed 20 seconds in about 8 laps. Felix can now cross the line, see the checkered flag as a winner here in Season 5. It's a win for Felix as he crosses the line. He'll be so happy with that. Give Felix a maximum 15 points from today. Jarno crosses the line, P2, a great drive from himself. Welcoming home Moraine here. What could have been from P1 on the grid. I think he ran out of fuel over the line there, but an extra point for pole position nonetheless, so 11 points coming Moraine's way. Further down, finished Enrico and Hans both scoring points for their teams, as Lucas is going to come through. Yannick is actually battling him. This could be a battle into the final corner. Round the outside, possibly a switchback line maybe for Yannick. No, he's going to go round the outside. An incredible move there from Yannick to take 4th at the death. Lucas's tyres must have died. P4 for Yannick. What a job from himself, as Lucas gets a 15-second time penalty on serve stop and go. We do convert those. So that will drop him behind Mitch, who goes into P5, which will probably be him competing his last race as a reserve. He's looking for a call-up as the driver transfer window is now officially open. Lucas, P7, I think he will stay there. Mike finishes P8 to score points as a reserve. And what a race that was. What a race indeed. I need a drink. Yet again in GPRL, we have an all Dutch podium. Really has rise of the Dutchies in the last couple of years. Seasons, I should say, of GPRL. And, yeah, can't fault them. They've done an incredible job. Sure they'll be happy. It's the win for Felix. I think he'll say one of his finest drives to date. You can't fault him. Let's go to the race rundown. I love how I get XP for just watching. I'm a fan of that. So as you can see, the final classification, well, provisional classification, we may have some incidents to look into. Felix won from third on the grid. Jarno was second, and Moraine rounded off an all Dutch podium from the pole. He did get an extra lap for that, an extra point for that. But I'm sure he'll be thinking what could have been. Yannick P4, a good recovery drive considering the circumstances. Farron comes home P5, an incredible job, his highest finish in GPRL. Mitch rounds off P6 again. Good job from himself. Lucas, a great job again from Mike. Enrico and Hans both scored points in the Mexico Grand Prix. I keep going to say E-Prix because of Formula E, but this is very much not Formula E. But I want to thank you guys for joining us. What has been an incredible day. Incredible race. You're welcome to watch the race back. And make sure you follow us on Instagram at GPRL_official. Follow me if you want at Alex_Bomberg. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.